Story number 1: A haunted house. I have never resided in a haunted dwelling, but my mother, during her teenage years, shared a chilling encounter from her past. She recounted a real incident that occurred in her neighborhood. Strange occurrences were not uncommon in other houses on her street, she recalled. A family a few houses down experienced something eerie. One fateful night, their daughter went to bed with a severe headache. Tragically, the following day, she passed away due to an aneurysm. Following the funeral, the grieving family sought solace elsewhere, asking my uncle, my mother's brother, to look after their pets. Accompanying him were my parents, who were dating at the time. My mother, intrigued by rumors of a grand piano in the house, expressed a desire to play it, while my father, then studying to become a veterinarian, joined the expedition. Upon entering the house, my uncle and father proceeded to the basement to attend to the animals, while my mother headed to the piano on the ground floor. As she played, she felt a sensation brushing against her ankles, assuming it to be a cat from the basement. Shrugging it off, she continued playing, only to feel the sensation once more. Curious, she peered under the piano but found nothing. Resuming her playing, she suddenly felt hands gripping her legs tightly. Terrified, she bolted to the basement door, summoning my uncle and father, and waited anxiously. Outside, my uncle sensed her distress and inquired about it. Reluctantly, my mother recounted her experience, to which my uncle paled. He revealed that the deceased daughter used to play a game with her father, hiding beneath the piano and grabbing his ankles while he played, a fact that sent shivers down my mother's spine. I used to work for an ambulance company, and there was talk of a haunted ambulance, Rig 12, shared Reddit user Zerbo. Despite skepticism toward paranormal phenomena, their perspective shifted after a personal encounter with Rig 12. One night, while working in a rural area at 3 a.m., Zerbo and their partner found themselves dozing off in the pitch-dark silence. Suddenly, Zerbo was roused by a muffled voice, initially attributing it to their partner. However, the distinct utterance of, "Oh my God, am I dying?" followed by heavy breathing emanated from the patient compartment, jolting both Zerbo and their partner awake. Moments later, they heard the click of an oxygen bottle regulator and a subsequent hiss, resembling a leak. Alarmed, Zerbo illuminated the surroundings, and they hastily exited the rig, suspecting a potential intruder. Yet, upon inspection, they found no one inside and confirmed that the oxygen bottles remained untouched. Sleep eluded them for the remainder of the night, haunted by the inexplicable events within Rig 12. Story number 2. A few years back, I moved into a one-bedroom apartment in Melbourne, Australia, they recounted. It marked my first experience living solo. The apartment complex dated back to the 1930s. After a few months, returning home from work one day, I entered the bathroom to find something peculiar, a wooden board, previously covering a hole in the ceiling leading to a small attic space, lay broken into two on the floor. Examining the pieces, I realized the board was remarkably sturdy, about an inch thick. It seemed nearly impossible to break. Fear gripped me as I speculated that someone must have been up there. I promptly emailed pictures to the landlord, somewhat annoyed at her oversight in failing to warn me. Her response urged me to call her at my earliest convenience. Upon calling, she disclosed that the same incident had been reported by her last two tenants. Assuring me she'd replace the board, she followed through on her promise. A month later, one night around 4 a.m., I woke up with chills coursing through my body. It felt as though someone was running their hands over me. Despite the silence, a dragging noise emanated from above my bed, akin to the sound of hauling a heavy load. Convinced someone was in the attic, I was paralyzed with fear. The sound was too pronounced for an animal to produce. After several minutes, summoning courage, I switched on the light, armed myself with a cricket bat, and headed to the bathroom. To my horror, I discovered the new board covering the hole had been split in two. Feeling nauseous, the dragging sound ceased, replaced by whispers echoing from the attic. The voices, resembling children's, repeated a haunting phrase, "It's your turn. It's your turn." In an attempt to restore normalcy, I flooded the apartment with light despite the early hour. As darkness persisted outside at 5 a.m., I sought solace in watching TV. Suddenly, a fuse blew. My usually quiet pet budgie, Dexter, erupted into panicked squawks from the kitchen, a distressing noise I'd never heard him make before. Grabbing my car keys, I fled to my car and remained there until dawn, reassured by the sight of people walking their dogs. Upon returning, I noticed the front door ajar, potentially my own oversight in the rush to escape. Checking on Dexter in the kitchen, I was horrified to find him nearly drowned in the toilet. After rescuing and tending to him, confusion clouded my thoughts. By 8 a.m., I phoned the landlord, providing a subdued account of the night. Surprisingly, she acknowledged hearing the whispering too. I endured another 18 months in that apartment, encountering the whispers intermittently and witnessing the board over the attic hole move twice. Though I've since relocated, the landlord recently reached out, informing me that her new tenants wished to discuss ongoing occurrences. For me, it's a thing of the past, it's now their predicament to handle. Story number 3. This genuine ghost tale may initially evoke warmth rather than chills, yet pondering what our furry companions perceive that eludes us, including the spookiest tales, adds a shiver to the story. Canine sensing spirits? Well, numerous dog aficionados, including vets, affirm that ample evidence supports the idea that dogs detect paranormal phenomena. Consider also that this account reached Reader's Digest, known for aiding detectives with its ghostly insights in solving perplexing cases. Marlene nestled onto her side of the bed, gently patting Jack's vacant pillow beside her. A year had passed, but Marlene still grappled with the transition to widowhood. Perhaps it seemed fanciful to hope for adjustment after 4 decades of marriage. Elmer, the golden retriever, seemed to grasp this from the outset. On that chilly, moonless night when Marlene returned solo from the hospital, Elmer exhibited a behavior unprecedented for him. He leaped onto Jack's side of the bed, resting his head on the pillow. Jack would have disapproved, Robinette remarked, but Marlene made no fuss. Instead, she lay down beside Elmer, allowing the soothing rhythm of his snores to usher her into slumber. The pattern repeated the following nights, providing a comforting routine over the past year. Yet tonight deviated from the norm. For the first time since Jack's passing, Elmer abandoned Marlene in bed. However, upon hearing the familiar sound of nails clicking on the wooden floor downstairs, Marlene recognized Elmer's signal for outside. With a resigned exhale, she descended the stairs to the foyer. Yet, instead of finding Elmer pacing before the imposing oak door, she discovered him animatedly dancing, wagging, and bowing, just as he used to upon Jack's return from work. To Marlene, it felt as though Jack had returned home, a sentiment supported by Robinette's intuitive understanding of such occurrences.